using TalkAbroad for many years, and I like it for the interpersonal mode of communication particularly. So if we're talking about the actual standards, I think another part of the success is, at least in my classes, at least right now, if they do the conversations and they do the reflection, they get 100%. So, and it's a significant, it was 10% of their grade last year. I'm going to up it to 30% this fall. And so I tried to take, you know, the fear of failure out of it as much as possible and help them feel really that they were set up for success. They're still nervous, you know, but all they have to do is show up, you know, and just try. They don't have to perform at any certain level to get their points. I think it's the third conversation where they start to feel that confidence, you know, and the first two are really still, for most people, they haven't gotten quite over the nerves, but by the third one, they're feeling good. I think it is helpful to show the website and the speakers together as a class. So we do a little tour of TalkAbroad, and we look at the different speakers, and we sort of see the diversity that's represented there, and see what they like, and, you know, the little blurbs that they have about each of the speakers. I think that is very helpful. And then I think scaffolding with openness, right? So that they feel prepared, they've got some questions, they know what they're supposed to talk about, but they also have the freedom to go off on a tangent if they get onto a topic that is really interesting. You know, that they know that it's okay with me if they pursue it. They don't have to ask, you know, the 5 questions on their list or whatever. That's just a support for them in case they feel nervous. But, you know, our goal is a real conversation with a native speaker. And, you know, if they've done that, then they've met my expectations. But you can't just throw them in and say, open topic, talk about whatever you want, right? And so trying to have that guidance, but then, you know, that flexibility and openness as well. They will have 50 questions in my class. They have 50 questions that we've written as a class, and we've practiced with each other before their first TalkAbroad conversation. And then they can pull from that list, is what I tell them, right? So the topic I give them for their first conversation is just, you know, present yourself, get to know each other a little bit, and then maybe start asking about culture, but really just, you know, get to know somebody and speak French. And so we have 50 questions, you know, what's your favorite book? What's your favorite animal, favorite color, right? Whatever. But they come in, and I think that really helps. And they'll say, like, we only got to, you know, 10 questions. I'm like, yeah, in 15 minutes, you don't have time for 50, but you've got a whole list. And they also then kind of see how your employees are ready to talk and are patient, and they have questions, you know, so it's not on my students to have to manage the whole conversation. So, you know, I try to over prepare them for that first conversation, and then also to bring that back in the class. I try to tell them the questions are a guide for the conversation if they need them. But our goal is to have an actual interpersonal conversation that goes beyond what we have planned for, right? But at the novice high, they're still relying on memorized chunks, right? That they can kind of, you know, they're just starting to create with language. They can't do it all the time. So they need to have that good support. But by the end, they are off the script, right? By the end, you know, they're talking about and they're sharing their memories, and, you know, and so it is, but I do partner it with our curriculum. And so, you know, the second activity, and I am trying to double dip. Right. So I'm not simply using TalkAbroad for the linguistic practice. I want the cultural knowledge. So they have to talk to speakers from different countries, and then they have to bring in, we're studying, you know, different parts of the French-speaking world in my classes. By the end of the year, we've studied, you know, French in the Americas, French in the Pacific Islands, you know, French in Asia, French in Europe, French in Africa. And so they need to speak to speakers in those different areas, and then come back in and talk about the culture and what they've learned from their speakers. And so all of our conversations have that cultural component, and my students need to be paying attention to that so that they can bring that into the projects and the assignments that we're doing in class. And then I try to have them do a guided reflection on what went well and how they prepared and what they would do differently, and, you know, those kinds of things. I'm still working.